Welcome back to the channel, you guys. Welcome back. Today we're going to be working on RC boat propellers, okay? Basically going to be prepping my props up for the season, okay? They've been sitting around all winter. They've been, not being used. They get tarnished. Beryllium copper props, they tarnish. Got some tips and tricks to help you guys out with your propeller balancing. Some tools that I use to balance and sharpen my propellers, polish my propellers, and, just kind of how I prepare, and maintain my investment. So stick around. Big B with Ironclad RC. Before we get started, when you're working on propellers, you need to work in a well-ventilated area. Wear PPE, personal protection equipment. Okay, you guys are grown. I shouldn't have to remind you guys, but those new to the hobby, you've got to wear PPE. This is a face covering. I would recommend something a little bit better. Beryllium is toxic. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're working on propellers. The fine dust, you inhale it, it's not good for your lungs. Okay. So now I got that out the way. This video is not going to be like how to balance a propeller. This is going to be like kind of what I use on my props. Okay, how I prep and balance and maintain my props. Okay, I've got a few 90, 80, 90, 100 mile an hour runs under my belt with propellers that I've prepped myself. So I think I got a grasp on how to do it. Okay, so first of all, okay, and they're an investment, like I said. Want to protect it, okay? This is a propeller box from rwarden. I'll put his email in the description. He's up to making propeller boxes. They're like $50 a piece for this box. It's waterproof. It's got a seal around it. It has posts for 3/16, 1/8, and 4mm props. You can put a logo, my logo, your logo, whatever. So they're not cheap, but like I said, these are investments and you want to protect them. If you're interested, email him, but only for serious inquiries only. He's a hobbyist. He doesn't do it for business. And there might be a little wait time, so bear with him, but don't bug him. Okay. I love the box. Okay. He's actually made me several inserts for my propellers, and I absolutely love them. They keep them organized. Okay. So next up on the agenda, I'm going to show you guys a prop balancer. Okay, this is a DUBRO prop balancer. All right, it's called the True Spin by DUBRO. It's got these 4 big wheels on it. You can actually use it to balance RC car wheels and airplane propellers, so it's kind of like a 4 or 5 in 1 type balancer. Okay, so you basically put your prop on your balancer shaft here, and you want to find a balance. Okay, when the propeller stops anywhere, the propeller's balanced. So this one's almost balanced. You guys see how slow it's falling? When it's that close, okay, this is your heavy blade. Okay, this one right here. All right, see how that one, it's almost stopping anywhere. When the propeller stops anywhere, when it can stop anywhere on its own, that's when you know it's completely balanced. I'll show you once I get this balanced. I'll show you what it looks like later on in the video. You want your props to be polished, okay, shiny, so it cuts the water as it's running. It doesn't have any drag. Nice hydrodynamic shape, and there's a lot to balancing and prepping up propellers. We're not really getting into it. Okay, so this is the True Spin balancer right here. You can also get these magnetic balancers, which that's what I started off using, and I really don't care for them. The ends of these pins, they actually get like rounded or dulled off, or if you drop your pin on a hard surface, I've rolled the tips of my pins over and it just throws off the whole balance. There's some guys that swear by these things. You can get cheap magnetic balancers like on eBay and Amazon, or you can get like high-end custom built propeller balancers, magnetic balancers, like Stump Fab. I think he has a couple of nice ones. Eddie Offshore Electric has some nice magnetic balancers. Personally, I prefer the True Spin, especially for props 36 millimeters and above. Okay, anything smaller than a 36 millimeter prop, this prop balancer, it'll balance them, but sometimes it has a hard time falling. You know, the heavy blade falling or finding a balance. For that, I actually recommend just spinning this thing, man. Just spinning it. Just use the True Spin. Like, when you get it, it's gonna be glitchy, you know. So what I recommend is a very small amount of powdered graphite lube. This stuff comes handy in the RC boat world. Okay, I use it all the time for all kinds of different things. But a little bit of this powdered graphite, you can see where I've smeared it into my pins right here, where these wheels sit. A little bit, not much, okay? And then once you put them in all 4 of them, just put a big heavy propeller on there and just spin it. Just sit there and spin the hell out of it. Work that powdered graphite in. This thing's like a Swiss watch. The more you use it, the better it gets, okay? You know, but like a Timex watch, it takes a licking and keeps on ticking, unlike the magnetic balancers. You know, that you can wear them things out real quick. This thing right here, you probably will never. I'll probably have that balancer for the next 10 or 15 years. I'll show you guys what I like to use for polishing my propellers. I like to use this Never Dull. I use this Never Dull on my props. I use it on my running gear, my stuffing tubes, especially on hydroplanes, catamarans. Polish up my struts, my rudders, like a ritual before every speed run. I take this and hit all my hardware, everything, okay? You know, some guys like to use polishing wheels, and I've got a ton of polishing wheels. It's not like I don't have polishing wheels. I've got polishing wheels. I got the compound. When you're polishing props, you can get different levels of compound. You can get like an aggressive compound all the way up to a fine, like buffing compound, okay? You know, you can get compounds with grit in it. When you're polishing the prop, it'll actually take some weight off the prop when you're balancing. Keep that in mind when you get them close like this. Like I said, you can use your Dremel with a polishing wheel of some kind and take material off while you're buffing to get that perfect balance. I like using Never Dull. It's aggressive when you want it to be, and it'll buff when you want it to buff. Okay, you can get on it real hard, it'll take material off, and it really don't scar up the prop, and it actually does pretty freaking good job of polishing. Okay, I got fingerprints all over this one, but it does. That's all I do. Okay, and I don't even do it that much on my bashing props, just my everyday run-of-the-mill, you know, Octera props, or you know, some of my Octera props that I use for speed runs. Yeah, I'll polish them up like this, but just bashing, it don't have to be like a mirror finish, you know. Only for like high speed runs or racing props, you know. But that's what I use. That's all I use. You know, I've got other products, but that's my go-to for polishing anything on my RC boats. Okay, our propellers have to be balanced. Okay, not only do they need to be balanced and polished, but the blades need to be the same size. Okay, and a cool trick that I want to show you guys is just use some modeling clay. I've had this modeling clay for about 6 months. I use it all the time, especially when I'm like cutting down the blade area on a propeller, or if I'm cupping a propeller. You can imprint the blade of your propeller into this modeling clay and basically use the modeling clay and the imprint your propeller left. I didn't do a good imprint there, but you guys get the idea. You imprint your propeller blade, you flip your propeller over, put your propeller where the imprint was, and that will basically tell you if you have your propeller blade the same size. Okay, both of them have to be the exact same size. They need to be the same thickness. All, like, every aspect of the propeller needs it really needs to be perfect, to say the least. Actually, I recommend you guys, if you're starting the propeller balancing, to actually get in the habit of using your modeling clay as you're cutting down and balancing the propellers, because a lot of times, especially I've noticed ABC props, they come like out the box, out the bag, terrible. Okay, I've gotten a couple of them that were pretty close to being balanced, but you have to cut the blades down. A lot of times you have to cut the hub down. Okay, the hub is the last part of the prop you balance. Okay, and I've had ABC props, the hubs out of whack, and it's literally taken me a week to find balance on it. Okay, Arctura props aren't that bad. I've had some Arctura props that I've only, like, I've literally balanced, sharpened, and polished an Arctura prop in a couple hours, where I've had ABC props it's taken me like literally a week. And if you're getting into RC boat propeller modifications, balance, sharpening, polishing, patience. Okay, if you're like dumbfounded at it, you know, you've been working on it and you can't find the balance, set the prop down, go do something else, come back to it a couple hours later when you've calmed down, because it's frustrating. It could be extremely aggravating, and like you could literally just sit there and pull your freaking hair out because you can't find where you need to take off the material next. Okay, so the more you do it, the better you get at it. Okay, your first couple props, they're not going to be on the money. Okay, all right, so now I wanted to kind of recommend this. If you've been balancing, sharpening propellers, you kind of got it down, you can start modifying the propellers. Okay, what I like to use is a couple little ball bearings. I got a couple different size ball bearings, and I cut a couple little dimples in my drill vise here. Okay, it basically took like my Dremel with a round diamond bit in it and closed the vise up on my round bit, cut a couple dimples so that my balls stay in place. Alright, and I used this rubber mallet Steve Lane sent me. By the way, Steve, where are you, man? I hadn't heard from you. I hope everything's okay. And I used this to cup the edges of my blade. Okay, found when you cup the leading edge, okay, it'll throw a tighter thrust cone. Not in all cases, but it takes trial and error when you're doing some cupping. You may lose performance, you may gain performance, depending on which prop, which boat you're running, how you cup it, how much you cup it, how little you cup it, where you cup it. It's like it takes years and years of experimenting. And you'll need a GPS to, GPS the prop before, GPS the prop after you've done the mod, so you know where it's at. You watch performance, you watch how the boat acts, how the boat handles after you've modified it. Remember, document in your mind what you've done to the propeller, so you know to do it to the next prop or not to do it to the next prop. You know what I'm saying? A lot of guys use pliers. Okay, I've actually been working on these pliers. I've got them bent over a little bit so I can grab my propeller, and you can actually put a little bend in the leading edge, take a little bend out. I actually use these. They don't have like the little lines, those grippy lines on the inside, so they're not going to leave marks on my prop. I've actually sanded the edges, rounded the edges and corners of these pliers. I've been working on them. Haven't got them the way I want them yet, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. You know, professional guys, they actually have a pair of pliers, several dozens of pliers that they use, custom made. They'll bend the end of your plier in, so when you grab it at a certain area, it'll actually bend the propeller exactly the way you want it. So I'm actually going to go to Harbor Freight and see if I can't pick up a few pairs of these and try to make me some custom pliers one day, and I'll probably make a video about it. Yeah, pliers. Okay, it helps. Jeez. We went over how I polish my props. This is what I use to balance my props. I just use 80 grit, some 120, some 220, and I just put it on like a soft piece of foam. Okay, super glue the sandpaper on there. You can like bend it and conform it. This one's actually made so that it bends this way. I've got one that's made so it actually bends this way. I actually use my Dremel if I have to hog off a lot of material. I use my Dremel with like a sanding wheel. I don't really use these grinding wheels on it that much. When I have to get up against the hub, like you see that little corner right there, see that corner? Okay, like on this prop right here, I had to get up in that corner right there because the hub on one of these two props was out of balance, and I had to get up again in the corner to get some material off the hub. And what I like to use for that, let me see if I can find it here. So this is what I like to use for, like, it's a little cheap diamond, like oval shaped wheel, egg shaped wheel that I use to get in that little corner right there. Okay, and on the back side, I'll actually run it on that back corner if you have to hog material off the hub. Okay, file works really good. I like using these little diamond files right here. I also use like a big hobby file if I'm hogging off a lot of material. I'd rather use file than I would a Dremel. Dremel is like a last resort for me anyway. Like I'll probably use like this wheel right here to cut off that rolled over edge right there, you know. Alright, so I got this prop balanced up. Okay, I apologize for the long video. It's like 99% finished here. It basically stops anywhere. I'm happy with it. I'll run this prop like it is. Okay, don't beat yourself over the head if you can't get your props balanced and you know, to 100% to a T. You know, don't let, you know, that last 1% of a polish and balance like get you. You know, hell, I would say 80% of my props are 99% balanced. You know what I'm saying? And polished. You know, my high speed, you know, 80, 100 mile an hour props, yeah, those are balanced to a T. I spend, you know, extra couple hours to balance and polish it. So as you can see, I polished up the front of the propeller. I didn't touch the back of the propeller. Okay, that's what I was talking about. You guys can actually see what I'm talking about now. You know, some guys, they may be retired or they just got hours and hours and hours of spare time, and they can do that. They can balance their prop, you know, 100%, 101%, no problem. They got the time. I don't. A lot of you guys probably don't have the time either. So I get them, you know, pretty close where it stops anywhere like it's doing now. You could basically see how wherever I stop that prop, it stays there. Okay, it don't move, you know. It has just maybe a little bit more to go, you know. So did you see how it moved after it stopped? It actually moved again. It has a little bit more to go, but I'm happy. I'll run this 270. Oh boy, I've been busy. I got this whole row right here polished up. Been super busy. Check it out. Alright, just going through and polishing up the front of the prop. You know, got them all polished up here. You know what I'm saying? If you guys are balancing, sharpening your props, okay, and you know, like I just showed you on my printer, you know, it's like 98% balanced, and you're unsure, you know, if you need to quit or not, throw it on your boat. Now, if it's really out of balance, don't throw it on your boat because it'll bend your shaft. Okay, throw it on your boat, get everything tightened down, and spool it up. You know, listen to it. Don't go ham on it right when you freaking, you know, throw it on your boat, dry running it. You know, it'll degrade a drive line, and if it's really out of whack, it'll bend your shaft. So throw it on the boat, watch it. If it's balanced, you know, spin it up to full RPM, see how it sounds when it's at its fullest RPM, you know. And that'll tell you if you can quit or keep going. You know, if you need to go back to the balancer, if it's like vibrating like crazy. I was actually trying to find a prop that that was bad, out of balance, but I don't have any. So I was going to show you one that was out of whack compared to a good one. But now I'll let you guys go. I just wanted to kind of point that out. If you're unsure, you know, if you need to quit or not, just throw it on the boat, you know. Throw it on the boat, see what it sounds like. If you'll know if it's out of whack. We'll see you guys next time. Big B, we're Ironclad RC.